Welcome to Our Plant Stories, and this week a plant that all of us know.
I'd really love, with the problems that we're having with disease with our native banana, not native banana to this country, but what we buy in the supermarkets, I would love to get to a point in this garden where we could start some kind of breeding program or working with some other gardens to bring on a new type of banana that we can eat. Which, quite honestly, we can eat other different varieties of banana, but people do not like the seed in the banana. Everybody now just wants a nice yellow banana and not have to spit seed out.
That's Paul Oldroyd, who 10 years ago took on the task of renovating a very large greenhouse, turning it into a garden. And I found out about this garden from a listener.
I think it would just be lovely for people to know about this space and just to see the hard work Paul's put in after. I didn't even realise it was 10 years till he told me like a couple of months ago, and I'm like, whoa, we have to do something. And yeah, just the amount of hard work he's put into it, the amount of time he's taken for people, and just being so welcoming to different people, and and having the time for them as well. Especially in this kind of world where people are so disconnected, people are always on their phones and everything else, for him to create a little community here. Yeah, and that's what inspired me to volunteer for him in the first place, and yeah.
That's Jo Lax. She's a senior gardener at Castle Howard and Paul's partner. So in early spring, I caught the train to Beverly, East Yorkshire, to meet Jo and Paul in Oldroyd's Corner, to find out about those bananas.
We are standing in front of Musa Bazoo, which is a Japanese banana.
Describe a little bit to me in terms of how big it is and how big it will grow through the season.
So basically, the width at the moment it is about 6 foot wide, and in a season it could grow another 2 foot wide if I let it, and it will grow to about 3.5-4 metres tall.
Now we should perhaps describe where we're standing, because bananas, Yorkshire, doesn't necessarily immediately go together, but describe for me what we're standing in is probably more accurate, isn't it?
We are standing in technically a 1990s commercial greenhouse that we've repurposed into a botanical garden.
How big is it?
This greenhouse stretches for 1 acre.
And as I look around it, there's a beautiful lawn in the middle, and then there are beds all around. There's a kind of area over there that's kind of slightly, raised area with seating on it. Tell me what this greenhouse was like when you first came here.
There was nothing. It was black sheeting on the floor, and it was just derelict from it used to holding cucumber growers in it.
So what gave you the vision to start this garden?
It was a balmy idea at the time that someone said, would you look like a greenhouse to growing? And I thought, why not at the time in my life? I need a change, but there was no money, no nothing. It was just an idea that we went with.
Where do you even start with something like that?
I'm not one of these people who have master plans or plan or write anything down. I have a lot of headspace that's fairly full at the moment, and I thought of the idea, and you look at the garden now, or the shape of it, none of this is drawn out anywhere. It was all in my head, and I built it straight out of my head.
Love it. Okay, let's come back to this banana. Why is this banana plant the plant that's special to you?
This banana was one of the first plants I put in this greenhouse. This is the first plant that I bought for this greenhouse, and we have a picture of it in my car footwell when it was just a little pup. And it's special for me because it's the matriarch of this greenhouse. It looks over all the other plants.
What made you choose it? Was it impulse? Had you read about it? Did you know it would grow here?
I always wanted a banana. And quite honestly, I was naive. I'm a parks person by trade, so I'm used to bedding plants and pines and, parkland and grass. And then all of a sudden, I'm growing in a greenhouse that technically can grow anything. So I did, when I started growing in here, I did think of, just act like a park, bedding plants and that. And now I realise, and it was a big learning curve, that all of a sudden I can grow bananas that I've never even considered in my trade to grow before. So it was one of them where I just wanted to try it and see if I could grow it.
Now, these aren't bananas that the ones like we would buy if we popped into a supermarket, are they?
No, these are not Cavendish. These are Musubazu, so these are Japanese banana. So they're a very small green banana, which we do get in here. The greatest thing is not necessarily the bananas, but the yellow flower head before that. It's spectacular, and people have actually took it for flower ranging.
And the bananas are edible?
No, I would not eat them myself unless you want real bad stomachache. But they are great to look at, and quite honestly, we do let people take them home just to. I don't know. Some people put them in a vase. But they're great because a lot of people around Hull and East Yorkshire, except if you go on holiday down to Eden Project anywhere like that has them, we don't have them up here, and it's nice to see them in their full glory. You usually get them in a Asda supermarket where there's this little pot, and you think, oh, what will that grow into? And you will never know because most of them die in your garden with the frost.
What happens to the leaves at the end of the season?
What we're trying to do on the tropical border now is we're trying to take zero waste out of this garden. We do have big compost heaps and we try and compost all our waste now. So we're doing, when I first started with bananas, and you try and read up on them, but the best thing to do is YouTube and watch the guys actually harvest banana trees, and all they do is chop it with a machete. We do not use machetes in here, we do use saws. And on the tropical borders now, we're just chopping and dropping and chopping up a little bit to feed next year. So we give it good water. On most of them, no, it goes on the compost heap, like everything else. If we want to keep it tidy.
Now, you said this is the kind of matriarch. She looks over the whole garden. But if I look around, there are an awful lot of banana plants. Do we just have a wander to some of them? Because there seem to be a lot. So what happens with them?
So there's a lot of bananas in here due to the fact, like I said in the beginning, we had no money, and bananas are a good border filler. So what these are, I call that the mother. These are the daughters that look over the rest of the garden. So all we do, as you know, with bananas, we do not grow them from seed. These clone themselves, so they get wider and wider every year. So basically, when a banana grows up, forms a flower, then forms the fruit, the actual stem of that tree plant then dies down to nothing, and that's why the next year's growth is a new clone, and the plant will get wider and wider and wider. With it being a nice perennial watery sappy plant, it's so easy just to get a spade, run down the side of the small trunk. Don't take the big ones off, because that'll be flowering this year. You want to get the small ones that are coming up. You can slice it off. We don't bother. We used to pot them up, but now we don't. We just plant them in the garden where we want to fill up, and you can form different bananas. What we're trying to do now is, there's so many different types of bananas out there. I can't honestly name them all before you ask, but we're trying to put different varieties in. So we've got some dwarf in there. We have tried growing Cavendish in here, but they do not like frost. So they did, or you get the red bananas, which are really nice. Yet again, we have to protect them. So some, like the Japanese that we got here, we have in our garden at home outside. They do die down to nothing, but they will come back up again. So you can grow these in your backyard or a sheltered part of your garden, but the red ones and the Cavendishes and that do need protecting.
Have you shared these bananas outside this greenhouse at all?
They're slowly going around Hull, yes. I'm one of these people who go, would you like a banana? And
Well, you have quite a lot, don't you?
Well, look at the weather that we're having now. It is getting hotter and hotter out there, and there's nothing nicer than, for us, it doesn't cost us anything just to slice one off and bag it up and give it to somebody who's really interested in bananas. And it's giving people a different aspect of gardening and the passion to try and grow something different.
So if anyone finds themselves wandering round Hull and sees bananas, they
That's
probably
my
possibly...
fault, yes. Yeah, it's my fault.
Tell me a bit about the history of this greenhouse. Why is it even here?
The history of the greenhouse is there's been growers back in the 1930s that came to Beverly in East Yorkshire, and a lot of them were emigrating from Holland. And this was one of the sites that they came to, so it was a big family that came over here, and they started growing lettuces and then growing on tomatoes and cucumbers. So when they started, it was old wooden greenhouses and Dutch lights that they grew lettuces under, and then they progressed on to hydroponics and metal stainless steel greenhouses that we're stood in today. This one, as we know, in East Riding, there is still some commercial growers, but it is a dying trade. We're buying more and more in from abroad, and it's a shame that you can drive down some of the streets and you see a lot of broken down greenhouses. Luckily for us, John Loss, that runs this site still part of the same family, had the sense of inviting me in to build this garden. That is now a massive community project, and it's growing and growing, and we're hoping it's going to be here for, well, till I retire anyway.
In the garden, I also met Anne Loss. She was married to Peter, son of Hendrik, one of the 3 brothers who came over from Holland. A local, Anne has lived here for almost 83 years.
It's fascinating as well for us that they came over. I didn't know that story at all, that the Dutch growers came over.
But this area is,
So I'd find a lot of Dutch names if I was around here.
Oh, yes. Schellingerau, Bruckenhauser, Loss. Come on, Paul, help me out. How many more is there? De Boesma, yeah.
But mainly just because they hadn't got enough land in Holland, because the split had gone through the
because of
families.
the rules for inheritance and splitting. You've got a 10-acre garden, so you both get 5 acres. And then the 5 acres split, so you both get, and if you've got 5 kids, you only get 1 acre, and it's not a viable market garden.
What's special to you about this greenhouse that we're sitting in now?
It's here. It's surviving. And the scent in here is sometimes fantastic, isn't it, Paul? If you come it's just twigs now. If you come when that wisteria's out, you walk through a tunnel of flowers, It's unique. There's a brass band concert, and it gets bigger and better every year, doesn't it, Paul?
And what was this greenhouse like 10 years ago, before Paul started to work here?
6 foot high with thistles.
It's a community space, and in my own experience personally, with changing careers and coming into this kind of workspace and things, it's changed my life and my outlook and health, everything, all the corny stuff. And seeing other people, gaining the same kind of, positivity from it, it's really heartwarming. And, and Mother Nature, she's such a wonderful healer. She really is.
How does it work, if this isn't a rude question, financially?
Financially, I work for this greenhouse. So my credit cards and bank account is in this greenhouse, which I cannot keep surviving on. So I've got it to a stage, and this is why I don't go to any plant nurseries, or we don't go plant shopping anymore, because my bank card keeps coming out. We've got to a stage where we are a multi-use non-profit organisation. So we have Beverly Men in Sheds, that's a big charity. We have an art group that's got workshops in here, we're building classrooms, and it's a general work area. So there's a massive lawn that we're stood behind at the moment for Tai Chi and yoga, and the whole purpose of this greenhouse is a feel-good space. So you don't have to be in here just to do gardening. You can come and use our space, rent it off us, which the money will go back into gardening to keep improving it. And this is why we got Beverly Men in Sheds in here. So they're actually in a workshop, but the space is a social space for them. Same with the art group. The art group in the summer, we won't be able to walk on this path now because we just have people with the easels out painting the flowers and painting the plants. So it's a garden, but yet anybody can use it for any purpose.
What keeps you going when there are those moments, as you say, where you're thinking, how am I going to fund this?
I go out to work and I instruct Philantro City and Guilds to pay more money to paint here. It is very hard, quite honestly. And some people do come up to me and go, why do you bother? But yet again, you can ask anybody that has any non-profit or any small charitable organisation for the cause, and quite honestly, you only have to have one person that comes in here and goes, wow, oh, what a lovely space. Then you see him coming back week after week after week, even if it's just sitting and having a cup of tea. We used to have one bloke that came in here. We're attached to a garden centre. His wife would go and do their weekly shopping at the butcher's and that. He'd come in here, sit underneath the banana trees, and you'd hear him snoring because he'd just go to sleep because he's that relaxed. So he's had a hard week. Or we'd have, about 5-6 years ago, we'd have this man that came in with this ginormous camera with this lens, and he'd be taking pictures of butterflies and flowers. And I go, why you got such a big camera for that? He says, because I'm a forensic person in the police force, and most of the week he sees stuff that you never want to see, and he comes here for peace of mind. That's why I do it. So, yeah.
Paul wanted to talk to someone else who loves bananas, and that led us to Florence Mansbridge, nursery manager at the Eden Project in Cornwall. The project is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year.
They're called Japanese bananas, but they don't actually originate from Japan, which is interesting. That's the fun thing with common names, they can be misleading sometimes. So it actually originated from the southern province of China called Sichuan, which is quite subtropical, and then they were taken over to Japan towards the end of the 1800s, and it's believed that they were taken over as a fibre plant for making banana cloth.
It's not edible.
Well, it is. It's just not the fruits themselves, the berries. They're not like the bananas you would buy in a supermarket. They would just be very tough and not very pleasant to eat. However, you can eat pretty much all parts of it, but you've just got to work quite hard. And I'm not saying it's necessarily going to be very tasty.
So what can you do with the flowers?
So the flowers, apparently, you can use them as a vegan alternative for fish and chips. So the whole inflorescence of the flower is deep fried in batter.
I'd love to be able to tell you what Paul's face looks like at that point. Sorry.
Yeah, I've not been brave enough to try it yet.
Any other parts of it you can eat?
So it's got a pseudostem, so the main trunk, which is just its leaves that are tightly packed together, and that can be chopped up and left in a brine in a salty water, and then chopped up again and used in curries, stir fries. And then obviously the leaves can be really useful. You can serve dishes on them or wrap them. So yeah, you could use all parts of it, should you wish.
Paul, have you got questions for Flo?
About 20,000 really. As we spoke when you came up, Sally, I'm a parksman. That's what I trained at, and then I managed to get this project to where I'm now. And what we're finding is there's a lot of interest in bananas, and as you know, with the problems that are going on with disease with our bananas in the supermarkets, it's Cavendish, am I right? Am I wrong? Yeah. The Cavendish, there is trials going on to have a new form of banana that we can eat. And what we'd love to do at Oldroyd's is try and play with that ourselves. The problem we have at the moment is we keep buying banana seeds from different places, but we haven't perfected our propagation yet. So the question to you is, what would be the best way to propagate the banana seeds?
So it's having the high temperature. So I don't know, have you got any heated benches or anything like that? What are you doing currently with the seed?
Yeah, we have heated propagators. We've got a heated smaller greenhouse in our greenhouse. So we have them. So
sometimes seeds aren't quite as fresh as they should be. So it's worth trying lots of different suppliers if you're not getting success with a certain one.
How did I ask how many varieties you grow at Eden Project?
Oh gosh, I wouldn't like to pluck, because we've got obviously in the rainforest biome. I don't have an up-to-date figure in my head. Of how many different varieties and species they've got in there. At the nursery, we've got 3 different ones. So we've got the Bajou, we've got the Bengal Tiger, and then the dwarf Cavendish. I say that we are growing a couple from seed, Musa volutiana, which is a pink flowering banana, which has just finished flowering, and that is absolutely stunning. The other exciting one we've got growing at the moment is the blue banana, the Java blue.
That'd be nice.
We're still waiting for that one to fruit. Apparently the bananas are blue and taste of banana ice cream. So,
well, I think, Flo, you have just basically added to Paul's shopping list, if I may say so.
Yeah.
He's busily writing down the names, and I feel that the collection might be expanding. It does say on the Eden Project website that there are more than 1,000 different types of banana. Sweet, savoury, round, bent, straight, green, yellow, pink, silvery, and even spotted and striped. So Paul may have a way to go yet. But in the meantime, as always, we have a How to Grow, should you be inspired by Paul and Flo and want to grow one for yourself.
We sell the dwarf Cavendish as a houseplant. Musa dwarf Cavendish makes a great houseplant. And then not everyone wants a houseplant, so that's where the Musa Bajou comes into it, because they can plant it outside. Because most places in the UK don't tend to drop below -15. And I should stress, you want a big enough garden as well, because as I'm sure Paul's found out, they expand quite quickly and quite tricky to dig up if you're trying to get rid of it.
The things what people don't realise is you start with one plant, and I will send pictures over to you where the first plant I got sat in the footwell of my car when I picked it up, and I took it home, took it back to the greenhouse, and now it's got 17 daughters all around the greenhouse because it expands. It clones itself basically every year.
Yeah, it does it all by itself. Yeah.
But of course, the first plant, once it puts its flowers on and it fruits, it dies down. That's done its job. It puts a new tree up. So of course, in the end, you'll get start with one tree, and then you get 2 or 3. You think, oh, it looks really nice clump, and then 4 or 5, and then it starts. The middle one starts to flower. You think, oh, it's great stuff, and it dies down.
Right in the middle.
And you think, right in the middle. You think, oh no, and so you ignore it. That's what gardeners do. We just ignore it for the first year. You think it'll be all right. It's all right, and it gets wider and wider. You think it's getting too close to my path now. So then you've got to start with a spade, and if you harvest the plants off Mr. Bazoo, it's basically I've got to try and explain this. I usually show people this, not explain it, but I do explain it, but while showing them, you basically, in between the 2 trees, you put your spade straight down, and you can chop into the fibre roots, and it's a lot easier than a tree. It just goes straight in, and then you dig round, and you can literally pull the tree away, and as long as you've got the little white roots, it'll survive. If it doesn't have the little white roots and it's just a big block of fibre, it won't like you. And as well, people harvest them when they get way too big. I harvest them about 1.5 to 2 foot, and then plant them and grow them on in pots or bags, whatever we do. But then you got to set to, and you got to get into the middle, and you got to dig. And I do it now before it goes all slimy. Once it goes slimy, it's a pain. Dig round, and you got to chop all the middle out, and then we infill with muck and soil to try and get it to go, oh, we better go back in now and grow some more inwards instead of coming outwards all the time. So that's how we do it. I'm not saying it's the right way, but we found success with doing that ourselves.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's how you do it at the when you do it there.
So we've tended to split them from the outside. So essentially like what you're doing with a herbaceous perennial.
Yeah.
When you're dividing it. And that seems to work really well as well.
Yeah.
But because we're growing them up at the nursery, they're not getting that big because they're in a pot. So we're more slicing off the little pups, which sounds horrible when I say it like that. But as you're saying, the little clones, as long as there's a bit of root, we're getting really good success with propagating them that way. Yeah. Which is maybe the easier way of gifting a banana plant.
This is the good thing about people if they want to grow it at home in pots. When it gets that big, too big for the pot, instead of buying a new pot, they could take it out and, like you say, pull the pups off and split it down a lot easier than it would be in the ground.
Yeah, definitely.
And does it need to be in the sun? Can it be in shade?
It would prefer to be in full sun and nice and sheltered as well. It can be in a slightly windier location, but then it just won't look as ornamental because it is mostly grown for its ornamental large leaves, so you want it nice and sheltered so you get that lovely exotic feel.
Anything to add to that, Paul, with your experience of them?
Yes. So when you're going outside, if you're happy for it to die down every year, that's fair enough. But if it does that, you will never have a 6 to 8 foot tree every year. You're probably about 4 foot, 5 foot if you're lucky. So my volunteers that have got them all in their gardens now, as they've been taking them home, have different methods. I'm not saying they're right or wrong, so I've got one person that digs theirs out of the ground every year or takes it in to the garage, and for some reason he wraps it in a big blanket and puts it upside down so the water drains out. The biggest thing that we have with our bananas is the amount of water that's sat in them. You can prune them, and by the end of the day, if you're doing the end of the year pruning, it'd be like you've been in a rainstorm all day. There's that much water sat in these plants. So of course, if they're sat outside, they'll freeze quicker. The cells are full of water, so he turns them upside down. A lot of places, actually, if they're in the ground in the garden, you put a fencing wire that you can buy at B&Q. You put 3 posts in, put that round. You wrap them in fleece. Never wrap them in bubble wrap; they'll go mouldy. Wrap them in fleece. Then a lot of people pack them with straw to try and save the stem. But it's one of them where you won't save all the stem. The good thing about bananas is if you've got an 8 foot banana in your garden and you do fleece it, then you put your cage of wire around, and then you pack it with straw for insulation, and then at the start of the season when the frosts are over, you unpack it, you can see the new green leaf coming out the top. If you don't see that, it's not dead. All you do is feel down the stem and you can see, oh, it's firm now, and you probably have to just chop a foot off instead of it dying right to the bottom. So there is ways of protecting if you really... A lot of people love tropical gardens now and they want more and more. So that's my bit of advice.
So there you have it. If you happen to be near Beverly, do go and visit Oldroyd's Corner. And if you can't visit, well, take a look at the website, ourplantstories.com, for some pictures. With thanks to Jo for coming to me with the story, and to her, Paul and Anne for such a warm welcome when I visited the garden. Our Plant Stories is an independent podcast, recorded, edited, produced and presented by me, Sally Flatman, and funded by kind listeners through Buy Me a Coffee. So if you can support it too, you'll find the links in the show notes and on the website. And that's where you can also sign up to the newsletter, so you get every new episode direct into your inbox.